Hi, so my Princess Bride currently looks like this, but it didn't look like this not that long ago. It looked like this instead. So we fixed it. Looking back at this footage, it kind of feels like a progression of hair growth video, even though it's completely not, and I didn't film this in a consistent time frame, but that's not the point. The point is, I started off by separating the pages from the spine, and then I trimmed all the pages so that I got rid of any of the excess glue there was. And I did that because I hoped to save the painting I did on the foredge before I destroyed the book. You know, while I was tearing off the pages and cutting this off of the pages and stuff, I was like, I feel like I've made a terrible mistake. I feel like there probably was an easier way to do this, and there probably was. But after seeing my painting all lined up, I feel like this was the right idea, or I might have been on somewhat of the right track. So I didn't have a book press, which was a slight problem, but only slight because I had a bunch of books instead. So I shoved my pages in the middle of the bunch of books and hoped it was like secure enough, I guess, I don't know, pressed enough. And then I carved a bunch of divots so that I could reinforce the spine with a bunch of string and or glue. Don't do this at nighttime, especially not at midnight, because it sounds like this. So as you can probably imagine, this was really messy. There was a lot of dust everywhere. I probably breathed in an unhealthy amount of paper. But you know, it's fine. Just don't do this inside at nighttime, especially when you can't really breathe. Oh, also, I ended up using a bread knife instead of a saw, mainly because I didn't have a saw. And it works perfectly. Just don't come to me if you can never cut bread again. That's not my fault. Do one round of tacky glue, just so I can get all the pages to kind of sort of stick together. And then I'm going to do a round of hot glue after this dries so I can reinforce it. But I think if I do a round with tacky glue and let it dry overnight, I'm going to just have a much easier time working with the hot glue and actually perfect binding it. So we've got this thoroughly saturated with glue. I don't think it picks up very well on camera, but it is very saturated. Which might be a bad idea because, you know, I do want to hot glue it and perfect bind it. And I do want the book to be held together with hot glue because I feel like that is theoretically more secure, because I feel like hot glue as an adhesive is more flexible than like just pages glued together. So I feel like that would hold the book together better as I read it. So this might have been a slightly bad idea, but worst case scenario, I'm gonna like just saw a couple ridges again and then hot glue it through there. But other than that, I'm surprised by how like flat and aligned I got everything, because that was my main worry, was that I wasn't gonna get everything aligned. But it seems that it looks like everything's aligned, at least relatively mostly. And that's kind of nice. This is a lot of books though, but I feel like it's doing the job. I should just buy a book press and all of this would be easier, or make a book press, not buy a book press. No one buys book presses, but, or maybe they do, I don't know. But it works. Books work as book presses. What a surprise. So tacky glue was actually working really well. Like, it held my pages together and I could flip through it and it opened relatively flat. But then my brain was like, no, you have to hot glue this, because to perfect bind a book like they do in, like, you know, with machines and stuff, you have to perfect bind it, and that means hot glue. And so I went back to sawing ridges. Anyways, I thought I made a mess yesterday, but then today we have a lot of mess. But aside from that, can we talk about these ridges? I am so excited. My arms are falling off and I definitely cut myself multiple times, but these ridges are so clean and so deep and so nice, and I'm really excited about it. I think it's gonna hold the book together. So basically what you're seeing me do here is I cut up a bunch of hot glue sticks and I am basically jigsawing them onto the spine. I just figured trying to like goop a bunch of hot glue through like the hot glue gun was just going to be messy and uneven, so I think the plan is to put a bunch of hot glue sticks, jigsaw them, and then iron them all. I feel like the story of my life is literally just do one thing correctly and then become overconfident and mess it up. Yesterday's tacky glue situation, fantastic, very good. Today's making ridges, carving ridges, maybe not so great. Like it technically sticks, everything sticks together perfectly and whatnot. However, there is just really large gaps in, like when I open the page, I can see holes. And that's not the most satisfying thing to see, but you know, it's too late now. Hoping this works. This is either going to absolutely be the best thing I've ever done, the best idea, I'm a genius, or this is the worst thing and I'm not gonna know until I basically finished. So I just kind of cleaned up the edges a little bit with an X-Acto knife. I just kind of made sure everything was flat. I removed the front cover because it was already kind of falling apart, or like the white page up front. But hot glue was definitely the right call because the spine is really flat, which is fantastic. And then also it opens, and remember like the little decals I said, that the paper that's like visible? The hot glue kind of covered all of that up. And it's still really easy to read. It still opens relatively well. So now I just have to like put some cloth, put some end papers on this, and then put some book cloth, and then we're done with the spine. So I folded and cut some end papers to put on either side of the book. I wish I had two of the same color sheet. I genuinely did not have anything of the same color, but you know, it doesn't bother me too much. I don't care, it's my book. And then I just put a ton of books on top of it. And then after everything dried, I trimmed it to size and then got a piece of cloth and just kind of stuck it to the spine. I think I did that wrong. I think I needed a bigger piece of cloth, but too late now. It turned out okay though. So for the actual cover, I had the genius idea to use like the cheap board canvas things, like the canvas panels, whatever they're called, the ones with the really bad canvas and that is just kind of stuck onto like cardboard. Well, the cardboard is fantastic. It's perfect for book covers. So I just kind of trimmed that to the size. I used the original cover as like kind of a marker for how big it should be. And then I cut everything to size, and then I spaced it out and glued everything together. So that is going to be the end of what I'm going to do today. However, can we talk about, one, the fact that the text block came out so freaking well? Like, this is better than it was before I broke it. This is so perfect. Like, obviously it's not perfect because I did this at home and not by machine and human error and whatnot, and also just, this is my first time doing this, but also just like, I didn't even have to sand it. I thought I was going to need to like sand it and repaint parts of it because like there would be glue or something else. But no, like this is legitimately fine. I don't have to touch it, and I'm really happy with that. But also, this is how the cover turned out, and that is so much better than I thought it was going to be. Like, look, if I put this like this, I'm so excited. I just have to paint this, and it's going to be so cool. So now to paint and make it look like a fun book cover. So you know how I said the actual cardboard was really good for book covers? The actual like canvas part of the canvas panels was awful. This is very likely because I got this at the Walmart kit section for like $1 for like a pack of 5 or something. But still, I think I was really worried about the canvas ripping, especially at the hinges, and there's definitely like rippage going on the book. But you know, it worked for now. I just don't think I would use it again as a material going forward. I will say I did not have a plan going into what I wanted to do with the book cover, but I ended up doing this like kind of landscape thing with like the most iconic scenes of The Princess Bride, or just imagery that reminded me of The Princess Bride, and I really liked it. I like how it turned out. I think it turned out really well.
Treasures, the late medieval ceilings, the collections of Severus porcelain and Queen Anne furniture, and unique Renaissance oils hanging in the body stairs. He told us of the extensive wine cellars running in the apartment, of the herb gardens which he hoped in due time to restore.
Anyways, and then I glued the cover to the end pages and pages to the cover, everything together. I also added like book headbands later, or earlier before that, off camera, but that's not the point. But yeah, everything's glued together, and then I put a ton of books on top of it, and then we're done. So here is how it turned out on my bookshelf. Ah, it's so pretty. Oh my gosh, I'm slightly obsessed with it, and I will be doing this again. This is going to be an obsession. My Lord of the Rings series is next after I finish the last book. But oh my god. Well, anyways, thank you for watching. I am really happy with how this came out.